You're listening to Hashtag No Filter with Zack Peter. That's me, your naturally platinum blonde pop culture connoisseur. I'm the reality TV junkie, self-improvement addict, and host with only the hottest tea spilled fresh weekly. For more hot takes, go and give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. I always keep it funny and I always keep it cute. And if you're like me and you want to stay up to date with the latest reality tea, just give us a follow at No Filter with Zack on the Instagram, or you can always join our private Facebook group. The link is in the description below. I hope you've snagged yourself some fizzy Housewives-inspired rosé, packing a punch at 14% alcohol by volume, but less than a gram of sugar. It's available now at nofilterwine.com. Go to nofilterwine.com to stock up for your holiday shindigs or for your Bravo-obsessed bestie. All right, today's guest has gone from bartender to bar owner and entrepreneur, launching a skincare and cosmetics line for men, a new bourbon whiskey, and hopefully a new hot bar that we can go and drink it at soon. Please welcome the main man of Vanderpump Rules, Mr. Tom Sandoval.
Thanks, Zach. I love that intro, man. That was so nice.
How are you, Tom?
I'm good, man. I'm just chilling, you know. We got the fireplace going behind me. I got some Toms Good Lovin'. Got the Christmas tree.
I love how cozy everything looks.
That cozy, comfy time of year.
And you're at home right now, right? So
yeah.
your home is finally furnished?
Yes. Yes, it is. Oh man. You know, I think that when you have two people like Ariana and myself who are both very particular and somewhat perfectionists, it's going to take a little bit longer to furnish a house, especially because it was it's our first time. So we want to get it right.
Rome wasn't built in a day, Tom, and it looks incredible. From the photos that I've seen, it looks great, and I think it was well worth the reveal. Thank
you. I appreciate it. We're still, still working on some stuff, working on a bar that I'm building in here with Nick Elaine's help, who did Tom Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do, like a speakeasy where you go inside and it's like you went to a whole different place, like it's like a different location. And of course it's got to have beer taps in it and a soda gun, a fridge, a freezer.
Well, I mean, I can't wait to see it on next season of Vanderpump Rules then. We're going to need another grand reveal.
Yes. Hopefully it's ready by then.
If not, you'll hear about it from Lala. Were you excited to be back in production finally? You guys had kind of taken a long hiatus and we finally have Vanderpump back in our lives. Did you miss the filming? And, obviously the cast continued to get together, but the production of it all.
Yes, I was excited. And it was really nice to take a break because, it feels, it's felt like over these past years that, we get a very short break.
Yeah.
Obviously we have principal filming, but then, we continue to film interviews and then, we go and do interviews. We do Watch What Happens Live. And then it's pretty much like we shoot our reunion and, a month and a half later, we're back to filming again. And so it was nice to take, a year off and sort of relax, regroup, have some time to, work on other projects and just reflect, I think everybody benefited from that.
Yeah, we all needed a pause. I feel like 2020 was the year of the pause, and we all got to kind of take a breather and then come back into the flow of things in 2021. And I have to say, I've been loving your style this season. I feel like it's just become a little more eccentric and eclectic, but it's edgier. And I love the risks that you're taking. What is the inspo behind these edgier looks? I mean, you even went blonde for a hot second last year.
Yeah.
I don't think Instagram loved the blonde, but I've been loving the style.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I just sort of, I don't know. I wanted to change it up. I like to change it up at least a little bit, every year, every season. So you can kind of watch the show and be like, oh, this must be that season because of Tom has a mustache, or he has long blonde highlights in his hair, or he has lines shaved in his head, or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of went for like a little bit of a cross between like maybe a little like Harry Styles influenced, as well as like, Japanese street fashion.
Yeah.
A little bit of both.
Is
And just
Ariana a fan, or has she been like, okay, can you please just tone it down so you don't steal my attention for once?
she likes it, but yes, sometimes she's like, you can tone it down a notch.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're filming a show. You know what I mean? Like,
Gotta
might
give
as
them
well
the
go for
show.
it. Right?
I mean, if Lala's gonna give them Lala, you have to give us Tom. You have to give us Sandoval.
There we go. There we go. I'm just trying to keep up with the status quo.
What do you think of the obviously Brock's been at the center of a lot of the drama this season. Did Lala's kind of put him in the hot seat. Did you have some of those same concerns about Brock and Sheena as their relationship kind of started to take center fold throughout the season?
Well, yeah, I obviously, I was very, you never know. And obviously it's always a big adjustment when you first, get in and start filming the show. Obviously you have to be very open with your life. And, I thought that Brock did a really great job of being very open and vulnerable. And, I really respect that. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things that have come up are things that, Ariana and I had already known about. And obviously, Sheena's like family, so we obviously look out for her and care very much about her. And if we saw any sort of continuing trends from, way back in the day with Brock, or anything that jumped out at us, that, we would very much obviously be the first one to, to say something in that situation.
I have to say, he handled himself really well. I was impressed with how well he came onto the show and was like very organically integrated into the group. And even on this show, I feel like sometimes the show and the cameras can be a little intimidating for people, and they either play it up too much and it doesn't land, or they underplay it and they're a little shy. And I feel like he's really found his footing on the show.
I totally agree with you, Zach. I mean, I think that he really did a nice job. And yes, it can be very, very overwhelming, and especially with this group, and he just did a great job. I think so. Sorry, I'm just texting. Hold on. Sorry about that. So yeah.
I've enjoyed Brock and Sheena this season. Do you think Lala's concern was genuine?
I don't know. I mean, I can't obviously, read somebody's mind.
Yeah.
I felt, maybe there could have been a little bit better tact, or maybe, she could have had somebody else bring it up. I mean, considering all the stipulations that she had about private life in the past. And obviously we always kind of have a thing too, sort of an understanding that if somebody is not really currently on the show or didn't sign up for that, that we always kind of try to not talk about them or a situation involving them, because they don't have the platform to, give
Defend
their side
themselves.
Of the story.
That makes sense. No, that makes sense. I mean, it's also, interesting turn of events to see where she's at, considering how much she was grilling other people's relationships. But we do have to talk about Schwartz and Sandy's, because this has been another like major plot point this season.
Oh my God, it's been exhausting.
we need to start with the name, Tom. What was the inspo behind the name, and was Katie consulted at all during the Schwartz and Sandy's discussion of the name?
That name, we had talked about a lot of names, a lot of other names, and that was something that I had said, and that we had joked around, a name that Schwartz and I had joked around with it about, because we've been working on this bar. I mean, it's been now probably 2 years in the works.
Okay.
Obviously we started on this before COVID, before everything shut down. And then obviously we didn't know what was going to happen. Nobody did. And that was very stressful. And then also, we didn't even know where it was going to be at, like what we were going to do. Were we going to go to a new space? We knew we were going to partner with Greg, but like, what was our investor situation going to be like? I mean, there were all kinds of things that we worried about. I mean, the thing has almost not happened so many times. Whether it's finances, whether it's just timing, a lot of things. But that name sort of got brought up as, a joke. And so we laughed about it, whatever. But then there kind of just went a period of time where I stopped really worrying so much about the name, because even when we started filming, like some things we couldn't really talk about on the show, because of like, we didn't know, for instance, if we were going to be able to keep that space or what space we were going to have, or, like I said, like whether like we had the investors, like what our budget was going to be, what the theme was going to be. So at that point, worrying about a name and a cocktail menu when you don't even have like the space lockdown, it just didn't seem right to be worrying about, putting the cart before the horse,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with that whole situation, Schwartz and I, we 2 years ago, we made sure that we were very upfront with expectations
With each other.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things, that was brought up, right from the get-go is like, are our significant others, meaning Ariana and Katie, going to be involved? And we had decided and made a deal that was not going to happen moving forward, that it was just going to be us and Greg. And that was pretty much it. And that at any point in time, like what investor or whatever we brought in, that they were going to be a silent partner. So meaning like it was just going to be us three making the decisions.
Okay. Was that because there were issues that arose in the past regarding Ariana and Katie, or was that more of just to kind of protect, cover the bases?
It was more, I mean, it was more just to sort of cover the bases. And, because, Schwartz, this is something that Schwartz and I had talked about doing on our own and wanting to do on our own. So, I feel like there was a feeling of that it could possibly create friction and problems, and at times, like you can have people that are, very talented and know a lot about a situation or whatever, but sometimes like what trumps everything is whether, you feel like you can work well with that person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's always the biggest thing with me is like, and with anybody else, like, do we work well together?
Yeah.
Are we a good team?
And that's obviously already challenging, being that you guys are friends, that I would understand it complicates it a little more when you bring in significant others. So how did Katie get looped into everything? Because we come into this season and it really looks like Katie was like, I was the fourth partner in all of this.
Well, it was funny. Schwartz and I had been working on this, at that point for a year and a half. And everything's going great, well, not great, but we're working well together. We're just, we're hitting our normal hiccups and forks in the road and things, we're having to change and but we're working well together. And it was funny, like, so every year before we film a season, we always have a meeting with production, it's no big deal. I'm not like, this is with any situation like this. You go, you meet with production. They just want to check in on you. They want to know like, okay, so, what do you have going on in your life right now? What are you working on? Who are you getting along with? Like, who do you hang out with more? Like, what's just all those things. It's just a check-in. So they know like what to expect and, where you're at. And so Katie was actually getting ready to go meet with production. And it was like that night, and Schwartz is actually over here, and she called me. And I mean, Katie, she doesn't call me very often. It's probably the first phone call I'd gotten from her in a just very long time.
Okay.
And she was just like, hey, I was like, hey, what's up? And she's like, I'm getting ready to go meet with production and whatnot. And I just, I know like, basically like, I know I know you and Schwartz are doing your thing with the bar restaurant, whatever. And I just wanted to see if it's cool if like I tell them that like, I might like help out in the office or like take some phone calls or maybe help train some staff or whatever. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're a ways off from like this situation. But I'm also just like, okay, I was, but I understand what she was asking. It's basically like, I know you guys are going to be filming, talking about this, and I want to be able to film,
have a piece of it. So in your pre-production meeting, you had shared with the producers that you guys were going to be talking about this bar and you were going to be, talking about this new business venture.
Oh, yeah.
And so
fully aware of that.
Do you think then she realized like kind of some of the backlash she got last season for not really having a storyline and she kind of just wanted to piggyback off onto yours?
I don't know, but I mean, I can tell you that it's always great when you're involved with more things because then you know more. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so I was like, okay, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, no worries. Fine. Yeah, yeah, sure. You want to come film answering some phones or something, whatever, sure. So then cut to like 4 days later, it's Sheena's birthday party. And, we're out in the hibachi grill and I'm just sitting there like, I'm trying to eat some food. It was a stressful day getting everything ready. And Katie's like, so, have you guys been thinking about names? And I was like, honestly, no. I mean, we've bought some domains because they cost like $20 or whatever, but we had a few that we were working on, but nothing, we didn't really, because we were still like trying to figure out what the aesthetic was going to be. Like, what direction are we going? Because we didn't even at that point even have the space locked in. So the last thing we're really thinking about is the name. So Katie was just like, well, I got a couple ideas. And I was like, okay. And she's like, how about King? And I was like, King. I was like, well, she's like, because me and Schwartz used to live on King's Road. And he,
okay.
I thought it was a bit of an obscure reference.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I think it's a little obscure. I don't know if people will get that or not. And I was like, there might already be a King too, which there is.
Yeah.
And then she was like, well, what about like Pocket Kings? And I was like, well, Katie, first of all, we're a ways off from this. And also, that sounds like a poker bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also I didn't want to necessarily, well, first of all, I know that having our name in the name of the place, like it adds value at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it does.
Especially after Tom, you're now branching off on your own. You obviously want to continue to capitalize off of the relationship and the friendship that we've all become so accustomed to.
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course. And so and then she was like pressing about the name and I'm like, well, I mean, we've thought of like Schwartz and Sandy's and and she was like, well, that's so uninspired. And I'm
like, King was pretty original though.
I'm like, that's why when I hear this, like Once Upon a Time, I'm like, no, these were not the original names.
Okay.
And
so
also I'm like, you just asked me if I could somehow get you to film with me. And now you're like, you're wanting to name the place. I'm like, that's kind of ballsy.
Yeah, I mean, originally, because I mean, hearing you say that, I'm thinking, okay, she'll do some knitting and like a WeWork with a phone that she can answer and film a scene to look like she's part of the crew. But I mean, it really seems like you guys had gone into it with the understanding that she was going to be a big part of this, which also made me as a viewer be like, well, how is Katie getting such a big role in all of this, and Ariana is really just being the supportive role to her partner?
Yeah, and look, I don't mind. I mean, obviously, Katie, she has like, Katie's got some cool aspects to things, and she's got her vibe, and like, and I dig some stuff that she does, and like things that she comes up with that's witty and funny and whatnot. But obviously, like, this is like a very big undertaking. It's stressful, and we're like, there's a lot of money on the line, and there's been a lot of time, like, and we were so stressed out. I mean, literally, like I said, this was not like I started to get like an ulcer, like I was literally shitting blood
Yeah.
going into the season. And we had an understanding. Schwartz totally knew this. It was very obvious that like this is a me, Schwartz, and Greg Morris thing. I mean, heck, I didn't even meet Greg's wife until 2 weeks ago, for the first time. Like, and he's been in the industry for 25 years.
Did you have a conversation with Schwartz then of like, hey, Katie's really pushing her weight on camera. Can we dial this back a bit?
Yes, I did. And in fact, I talked to him a couple days later. We were actually filming. We were in the car. Two things, and he told me that day. It was the same day that I literally told Schwartz that he could name the place before we went to Palm Springs. I told him, I was like, hey, as long as you incorporate our name. And I was trying to stay away from the name Tom, because I felt like Lisa might have a reaction to that, because we already had Tom or whatever. So I wanted something to be different about it, but it to have some sort of aspect of our names where it's like really obvious. But I told him, he told me, I was like, dude, what's up with like, he's like, I don't know, man, but I feel like she's got it out for you this season. And I'm like, why? I'm like, what the, you know what I mean? And then like, but I told him, I was like, look, man, like, I don't care. You can name the place, doesn't matter, like whatever, just incorporate our name in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was my big thing. And also, if we're doing this, like when Lisa like named Pump or Villa Blanca, like she didn't say like, hey, like she just told people this is what it is. It's like Brock didn't say, do you guys like the name Homebody? He's just like, you know what I mean? Like my company is called Homebody. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, that's kind of sometimes how you gotta be. Otherwise you sort of instigate, criticism.
Right. And sometimes the criticism comes from people that don't understand the position to be running a business.
Yes.
I mean, well, because Katie did say I think on this week's episode that she has experience in the restaurant business. I was kind of like, well, but the Toms have already opened up their own bar successfully. I would think their experience carried a little more weight in this instance. What is her experience exactly?
I know she worked with, I know her mom owned a Mexican restaurant in Park City, Utah that was successful. And then Katie like worked there for a while. I know she's worked, I mean, I don't know Katie's whole resume. Obviously she worked at Sir, and she's, worked at other places, which is great.
Yeah.
That is, and I'm not saying that she doesn't, I would never say that she doesn't have experience. It's just, I just know that if somebody does have, that much experience in the workplace, they should know that, however much experience you have is irrelevant if you're clashing with other people that you're working with.
Boundaries.
Exactly. Like I've had issues where I don't get along with certain people, or I've seen other people who are great workers not get along with their coworkers, or just not vibe right.
Yeah.
And somebody ends up getting fired, and it's not because of their experience or their work ethic or anything. It's just
personality.
They don't vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Sure.
you're in the car with Tom. You're having this conversation. Tom says that he thinks Katie might have it out for you. What is your reaction to that, and how do you guys kind of move forward into the
Like,
season?
dude, why? I don't know. I was like, really? I'm like, I thought, I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it. Because I asked him, I mean, I actually asked him, I was like, he's like, yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I was like, dude, does Katie like have it out for me or something? And he's like, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is. And I'm just like, why? I'm like,
Do you think it may have been linked back to the beef that you had with Stassi last season? And now that Stassi's not on the show, she kind of might be coming in defending her friend and fighting an
no,
old battle.
no, that's really deep, but no. I mean,
This is what we do, Tom. We analyze the show and we overanalyze the show.
well, it's funny you say that, though. It's funny you say that because, that whole situation, with that book signing, I mean, wow, what a mess. What a mess that was. A lot of, I was obviously very stressed out that day. And, there was a lot of things that didn't get said about that whole situation. One of them being is, that Schwartz obviously talked to Stassi. I hadn't talked to her.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I had agreed to these things, but Schwartz wasn't talking to Max about these things or talking to other people. I was the one on the receiving end, and Max was freaking out. He couldn't find people to work. He literally texted me at 3 a.m. the night. Like, he texted me the day before telling me he couldn't find staff. I said, bribe whoever you got to bribe. I got,
Yeah.
I'll put whatever money on it. And then he's at 3 a.m. He texted me saying that he couldn't find anybody. I was like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
He's like, we don't have security. I'm like, what is going on? He's like, I can't legally be at the door because it's a Friday, I have to hand out paychecks. And the biggest thing too is that, like, we were in violation of our liquor license. We legally have to serve food in order to serve drinks. Now, I got bit by a black widow.
Oh no.
Which added to the craziness. Oh, and then I find out through social media that, like, somebody at Barnes and Noble is checking IDs and handing out wristbands, which is a big no-no.
Yeah.
And I find this out through social media because I hadn't been told anything. So obviously, I should never have texted Stassi.
Right.
That was a terrible idea. And I apologize, Stassi, for doing that. And that's not her. These things were not her fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It sounds like it was an issue in communication, which kind of sounds like what's going on again right now with Schwartz and Katie.
I'm getting text messages from JoJo, from Dave, from Logan. All these people are telling me there's boxes everywhere. Nobody's at the front door. People are just walking in.
Yeah.
JoJo's behind the bar saying he's never bartended before. There's no ice in the well. And we were in violation of our liquor license, and nobody was at the door. And I'm like, Lisa and Kim were out of town, and this is like on us.
Yeah.
But obviously they're not going to let that stuff be in the show because
Right.
it makes the restaurant, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so they're going to spin the story. I'm like, that I'm,
So do you feel like that's happening again this season, where there are pieces to the story that we're not fully getting on camera right now?
Yeah.
Like?
Well, like I just told you, but look, listen, it's always like this.
Yeah.
Like you take the good with the bad. Obviously we film, they can't fit everything in. There's only a certain amount of episodes, out of 2 hours that we film. 5-10 minutes might make it in. You just never know. And I get it. I totally understand it. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, they have 12 of us total that they have to try to tell everybody's story, and people do the best they can. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how it is. But
did you have an opportunity to have like a conversation with Katie and be like, hey, I thought you calling me to be part of the bar was more for the show, but now I feel like you're coming for me on camera?
I mean, yes, I tried to. I
And how
tried
did
to.
that go?
Uh, I don't. It was really hard. It's really hard too when you're filming to like bring stuff up like that because it's not going to end up in the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe I didn't talk about it too much, but that's because I couldn't. And you're not. And at that point in time, like you're not really gonna. That's the one thing about when you're filming with filming our show is that you're not going to sit here and have relevant conversations not on camera because you're in the middle of filming a show. That's
Right.
not. It's our job to have these conversations on camera. So it's really hard to like do that and also bring up stuff like about filming when you're on camera. And also we are pretty much filming, every day. So yeah.
So whose decision was it to cut Katie out? Because in this episode we see her and she's like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out. I'm done. Was that
listen, at a certain point in time, when James and Raquel had their thing at the Belmont, I told Katie that, we had a great conversation. We hugged it out. We both apologized to each other. I told her she could be involved. I did.
What was your understanding of you can be involved? Like, what did you foresee that with that olive branch?
I've perceived that to be that once we get all these things handled and we start moving forward, like down the road, when we're working on, when the place is built and ready to go, like you could definitely, I see a place where you could help out. But right now, when, we're investing tons and tons of money and time and effort, I mean, you have to be respectful enough to like, let us make these big decisions,
And has she given you a little bit more of that opportunity to kind of let the two of you run the show?
Yeah, exactly.
Because she went on Watch What Happens Live and she was like, I think we should name it Once Upon a Tom. And they did a poll and the viewers voted that they liked Once Upon a Tom.
Well, I mean, that's great. Well, when she opens up her own spot, she can name it that.
So is there a final, is Schwartz and Sandy's the final name?
Yeah. And Schwartz says, I know you might not believe this, but Schwartz likes that name. And he told me he went back and forth. Look, I feel like I know obviously, I love Katie and we are close and we have gotten close over the years. I also know well enough to know a situation where Katie and I are setting ourselves up for a bad situation.
Yeah.
I saw this coming a mile away. That's why I did everything I could to avoid it. Schwartz, though, I feel like Schwartz kind of put Katie and I against each other. He kind of played both sides.
In what way?
In a way that he promised me that, we had a deal 2 years ago and he went back on that. And then he's like, telling Katie one thing and getting her all gassed up and then telling me another. And so, obviously that's going to create friction. So I think that if it's anybody's fault that we were in this situation, it's Tom Schwartz's.
Do you think, because the narrative that we're getting on the show is that he's a bit of a pushover and that you and Katie are both kind of steamrolling him?
Look, I haven't had him have to go back on anything. All the promises that we've made, I told him at one point he could name the bar. He said, okay. And then literally when we got to Palm Springs, he told me I could name the bar. So, I mean, like, I gave him first dibs on that.
Yeah. Which is also giving Katie kind of first dibs too.
I told him that. And, so, and we had a deal that we were not going to have our significant others involved. And I know there's this whole thing about like, mortgage loan or whatever. He does not have a mortgage loan against this house. That's not a thing. So there's no risk on that part. And even if there was, there's an understanding that like, that's up to us to handle that. So like, obviously I had a conversation with Ariana and I had to back up that money. You know what I mean? And I have my parents, my parents came in with a certain amount of money and, that's how we were able to move forward. So, if Schwartz wanted to not, if he's not putting his house up and he's bringing in a certain amount of money, then like, if he wants to bring in more and have more of a percentage, then he, it's up to him to raise that money.
Right. Has Ariana wanted to be more part of the bar? Have you guys had that conversation about her involvement since Katie was a lot more involved?
Yeah, I mean, she's obviously given us ideas. I mean, I run things by her and she'll, like, we're just kind of that thing of like, if we see anybody doing something really stupid, we'll like say something. But, Ariana has things going on in her life. She has Drink from Home and she has other things that I can't talk about just yet that you'll see on the show, that are coming up, that are happening in her life. And, that's her situation. If she asks me, for advice or whatever, I'll, be glad to respectfully give uh, an opinion, but respectfully, and it's her thing. And, obviously she should have final say,
So
I mean, duh.
yeah, I mean, and it makes sense. Your partner is supposed to be there to support you personally and, within your work life too. They're your sounding board. They're, your idea spitballer. They're there to kind of just be by your side through it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Was there or has there been a conversation with you and Tom now that, since he was kind of the one that was instigating and going to Katie and telling her one thing, but yet going to you and telling you another thing?
I mean, yeah, there has been at times. I mean, obviously with watching the show back, it kind of brings things up again.
Yeah.
That's one thing about this show is like you film it and you go through it and
You
then
have to
you
relive
watch
it.
it. And when you watch it, you go through it again. And then when you film the reunion, you go through it again. It's just like, it's a triple banger.
How do you work through those dynamics? I mean, I feel like you've all been such a long, tight knit crew for so long that you're able to kind of, obviously these shows are conflict and resolution, and I feel like you guys have been able to do that in a way that doesn't really ice each other out.
Yeah, it can. I don't know. I think we just do it. I mean, like,
It's
you put us
genuine love.
together,
It's
you
real
put
life.
us
It's like
together.
siblings.
Yeah, exactly. There's you know, uh, I even if I am not getting along with, somebody on our cast or friends
Katie.
group, at a certain point in time, I'll always respect them if they're being open and honest with their life,
Yeah.
even if we're not getting along, I'll still respect the fact that they're being open and honest and present, and that's all they can do. Like, we can't all agree all the time. I mean, that'd be boring.
Do you think that you're getting a fair edit this season? I feel like last season they tried to pimp it up that you had a big ego with Tom, and now, I mean, we see the struggle between you and Katie. Obviously, with so many cast members, they can't show everything.
Yeah, look, they can't show everything. I mean, I feel it would have been nice to see these moments where I told Schwartz that he could name the place. And, I feel like a lot of times with Schwartz, I'm like his guidance counselor. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you want to be an astronaut? Be an astronaut. Like, do it. Like, I always try to push him. Like, he came up with this whole, like with the whiskey and stuff. He's like, I got this idea for a name. And I was like, what? And he wouldn't tell me the name. I'm like, dude, you got to tell me, man. And he's like, Good Lovin'. And I was like, dude, I love it. And then he had like an idea, and I'm like, yes, let's go for it. Let's do this 70s, Playboy, like, lifestyle ads. Like, let's go for it. And, that's the kind of friendship I love being in is where we instigate each other's greatness, our fun, our greatness, our ideas, our creativeness, like, and I feel like, majority of the time, that's where Schwartz and I are. We work really well together in that sense. We're loving and respectful, and, yeah, we get in arguments, and, Schwartz is, I know he tries to act like he's the little, like, shy, like, oh, whatever. But dude, that guy puts his foot down way more than you think. He does.
I believe it, Tom.
So it's, go ahead.
Do we know when there may be a possible new Schwartz and Sandy's opening up soon?
Well, like opening any place, you run into your hiccups.
Mm.
And we are moving along, things are happening, and we're hoping earlier in 2022. That's the
Okay.
goal.
2022 is around the corner, Tom. I'm gonna
I
be
know.
lined up right outside. You give me an address, and
Don't rush it.
I'll be outside knocking on.
When you give yourself a deadline, that's when you really make things happen. Like even with this band that I've been in, this cover band,
Yeah.
we booked our first show and we got so much done in that month leading up to it.
How is that going? Are there going to be more shows in the works with that?
Yeah, we actually we sold out our first show at Hotel
I
Cafe.
saw that. I was getting DMs and they're like, "Are you going to this thing?" And I was like, "I didn't even know about it until now, and it's sold out."
Yeah, it was crazy. Like I didn't know how people were gonna take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You never know. But a cover band is fun. Everybody can kind of enjoy themselves. Like that's what I really like about this. It's easy for people to get into, you know. And we have the band is phenomenal, like such good musicians. We have another show at in Agora Hills at Canyon Club in Agora Hills, January 15th. There are still tickets available, but they are going. It's a bigger venue, so it's it hopefully will sell out, but it's not a 200 person venue. It's like I think it holds like 500 or 600.
Well, we got a few more weeks to sell out those tickets, Tom.
Yeah.
I love it. Has Lisa been really supportive in helping you guys develop this new location?
Yeah, I mean, she's been as supportive as she can.
Yeah.
Obviously she's got her own things going on, and she's not a partner in this, but yeah, she's been great, like to give us advice and ask us those questions, like, is this going on? Is this happening? Is this happening? There's always just so many aspects that you try to plan for, you prepare and you study and you try to learn as much as you can, but there's always these things that come up in every situation. It's different. And with this one, it's as much as it sucks to like hit these roadblocks or whatever, it really is a test to see how much you really want to do it and how much you love it, and like what you learn through the whole process.
I love that. The best piece of advice that my mother gave me was obstacles are only put in your path to prove how badly you want something. And if you're not willing to go over the hurdle, then it's not meant for you and you can walk away. But if it really means something to you, you'll find a way through it, around it, under it, over it.
Exactly. I feel like I've started to, I feel like I really started to learn that a few years back, of just like, if you're going to do something, you should really want to do it, or you should love it, because you're competing against people who do love it, and who do really want it. So it's important that you're on that same level.
Do you finally have a mission statement?
I mean, yes, we have a mission statement, but honestly, we haven't looked at it in forever because we've just been so busy on other more pressing things, permits.
Did Katie help you with the mission statement?
Yeah, she did actually. Yeah, she did.
That's good. It seems like things are finally coming together and we may be seeing a Schwartz and Sandy soon.
You may be. You will.
I'm excited. You also have your new skincare and men's cosmetics line, which seems to be doing really well too.
We have a lot of big announcements coming up with that too. Really, really excited about that. I feel really lucky and special to be a part of, a movement that I feel like men's cosmetics is moving towards. And I think it's important that men, understand that it's okay for them to want to look their best. And
why not? It gets you more dates.
Exactly. I have friends that have dark circles under their eyes, or like rosacea, and like I show them like, what to do and how to handle it. And they're so stoked and so open to it. And I feel like that's really a change that's happening these days, is that people are really starting to be open to that.
And now it's available not just online, it's in CVS now, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
exciting.
And other big announcements do come in.
Yeah.
But I can't say it.
All right. Well, I can't wait. And where can we get the new Toms Good Lovin'?
Toms Good Lovin', you can get it on tomsgoodlovin.com. I believe we're about ready to start like a nice little holiday sale. So that news of that will be coming soon. And yeah.
Oh, well, I'm excited. I'm having a Bravo inspired Christmas cocktail party, and I need to put together my cocktail list. So I think I may need to get some Toms Good Lovin' to put on the menu for my guests.
Oh yeah, you can get some the Toms Good Lovin' port bourbon, Mario's Hard Espresso with a little bit of walnut bitters, toasted walnut bitters, and yeah, maybe a little Amaro Nonino, and mix that together. That's a damn good espresso martini.
That sounds really good. I love an espresso martini too.
Yeah, I love them too. Nothing, especially when you're getting together over the holidays, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever.
Yeah.
We all eat like a lot of food, desserts, and you need that upper, you need that upper to keep you going.
Keeps you going, keeps you alert, keeps the night going. I love it. I love it. To close out, being that we don't always get to see everything on reality TV, is there something that obviously we know the conversation between you and Schwartz and all of the, the mechanics behind building Schwartz and Sandy's, but is there something about you that you wish you could show more of us about your own life or your own personality on the show that we haven't really gotten to see much of? Or do you think, we've seen your ass. Have we seen it all at this point?
No, of course. Of course, we keep a little.
Are we missing just the junk in the front? Everything else has been put out there. OnlyFans coming soon. Will Ariana allow that?
No, no, I don't think I'll be doing it. I don't think I'll be doing any bottomless parties anytime soon. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I love when my friends do well. I love when they get to that next level in anything, and it's important that my castmates and everybody knows that, like, yeah, we don't always get along, and that's okay. I just want people to really, really be honest and be putting themselves out there. That's all. And I appreciate that. You know what I mean? I do. No matter what's going on, I appreciate at least that.
And we do too. As audience members, we can see through it. We can see through the bullshit. And I think we respect and appreciate the relationships that you guys have because they are genuine and they are so long-standing.
Yeah. Definitely. We've been through a lot together.
I know. 9 seasons deep. You guys can watch Vanderpump Rules on Bravo Tuesdays on Bravo. Tom, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much, Zach. I appreciate it, man. This has been great. I can't wait to try your wine, and I'll send some good lovin' right over.
Yes, can't wait to try some good lovin'. Everyone needs to go. And where can they order it online again for everybody, Tom?
TomsGoodLovin.com.
TomsGoodLovin.com. And where can we follow you on the social medias?
Tom Sandoval 1, all the way across.
All the way across, because he's the number one guy in the group, everybody. The number one.
Tom Sandoval was taken, so.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you guys for listening to #NoFilter with Zack Peter. You can give me a follow at JustPlainZack or follow the show at NoFilter with Zack. Lots more tea to be spilled all holiday season long. You're gonna want to stock up on some Toms Good Lovin' because whiskey, I feel like, makes like nice warm cocktails that just make you feel, like you want to make out with somebody under the mistletoe, right?
Oh yeah, I love that.
I think I'm going to be making out with a few people under the mistletoe now, Tom. Thank you for that. You're going to make me sleeping with Santa. Cheers. Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate your time. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.